So let's start importing our assets. I'm going to minimize this and open your assets folder. Let's open our project here and bring our assets folder here. So I'm going to select all the assets apart from our app icons, and let's drag and drop them here. And then let's select our app icons. Close on the side so we have more space here, and we can add our app icons. So here we say it's 20 point, and times 2 it's 40 point expecting application icon from us, and then times 3, which is a 60 points. So drag and drop this here. Then we have 29 points times 2, this is a 58 point, and we have times 3, this is the 87 point. We drop it here. Then we have iPhone Spotlight Search, which is 40 point, and times 2 it's 80. Let's drag it here, and times 3 it's 120. Let's drag this one there as well. What else we have here? iOS 7 to 10, so we have 60 points times 2, 120. We drag it here, and times 3 it's 180. Let's drop it here as well. Here we have iPad settings, iPad Spotlight. Okay, this one you can do on your own. I'm not going to do this. You can just drag and drop the required icons there. All right, let's go to our storyboard. And I'm going to close the side panel here, select this view, and I'm going to first delete the view controller here because we are going to use our own. So select it, hit delete, move to trash. And now in our storyboard, we are going to use a tab bar controller. Let's open our application again. This is our tab bar controller. We have our tabs here, which by clicking it will take us different locations. So let's drag a tab bar controller out. I'm going to close the navigation on the side. Let's move this initial view here. I'm going to move this arrow, which is initial view, and put it on our tab bar. Since we don't need our view controller here, just select it and hit delete. So now our arrow is from our tab bar. So it means that when our application starts, the first view it will be shown it will be our tab bar. Then we have a view here. The first item and the second item by default, we have two views. I'm going to select and delete these ones as well because we are going to create our own. All right, so we have our tab bar controller here. So first we are going to start with our my list here with this view. And for this, I'm going to drag out UI view controller. And I'm going to embed this into navigation controller. So have your view selected, go to editor, and say embed in navigation controller. So the navigation controller is will add this top tab here, so we can have our back button, our title, etc. So now our navigation controller, we are going to add this as our tab bar view. So select your tab bar, hit control on your keyboard, and drag to navigation controller. Release, and make sure you select under relationship segue view controllers. So this will add an item underneath. So this will be our button. So if I select this button, I'm presented here under my navigator here. I can call this, the title will be my list. So you see the title is changed, and the image we are going to use from our assets. Let's open our assets here, and I am going to use my shopping cart field, this one. So in order to do this, we go to our main storyboard, have this selected, and image, I'm going to call this shopping cart, and let's get our field one, not the settings. And this will select our icon from there. So let's quickly run our application just to make sure everything is working. So now we have our one item here. It's in our navigation controller. As you can see, we have title here, tab bar here, and we have only one button. So right now we don't have anywhere to navigate. So let's go back, and we are going to add some more UI to our newly created view. First, let's set the title. This will be our all lists. Hit enter. And then if you remember from our shopping list, here we have a table view and the button on top here. So let's add our table view first. I am going to put it all the way up. And let's add also our constraints on top 0, right, left, bottom, 0 margins. Hit enter. So our auto layout will work. And then we are also going to need a table view cell. So let's drag out a table view cell here. And we are going to use a custom cell. And our table view cell height, if I select my table view here and go to my size inspector here, it says row height is 44, which is the standard. I'm going to change this to 80. Hit enter, and you can see all our table view cell enlarged automatically. And also let's drag a bar button item, which is going to be our button, and put here on top. We can select the item. Let's remove the title and the image. Let's see our assets again. We have this plus button, so let's put this one. It looks like my button disappeared. Let's see what's the reason. No, we have this. Okay, I have removed the title and there are no images. So let's say plus, and the plus button appears here. All right, now we have created a view, and we need to create a UI view controller to control our newly created view. So let's select our app delegate, Command N, which is a new file, or you can go to File, New File. And this is going to be a Cocoa Touch class. Hit Next. And I'm going to call this all list, and this is going to be a subclass of UI view controller. So it's going to be all lists, plural, view controller. Hit Next, and this is asking us where to save it. Okay, it's in our folder, and hit Create. Now we have a file view controller all lists, so we can go to our main storyboard, select our all lists, our newly created view, and here in our inspector, the class that will control our view here, I'm going to say all list view controller, and make sure you hit enter so it stays. Now that we have added our all lists view controller to our UI view here, we can click on our show assistant editor button here, which if you don't see this view here, make sure that on top here it says automatic. So this automatically selects the view controller related to our currently selected view. if I select this navigation controller, it will take me to the default navigation controller file. So let's select our view controller again. Now we are going to set some connections up. So we have a button here and we have a table view here. So let's connect these two. On top here, I'm going to make some space. Click Control and drag to our created view controller here. Make sure it's an outlet, and I'm going to call this table view. Hit Enter, and then we need to also create our button. But for button, we are not going to create an outlet. I'm going to create an action. So every time we hit this button, some action happens. So under view did receive memory warning. Actually, let's remove this part and remove the navigation as well. I'm going to put a mark here and call this IB actions. And let's click on our button here, and again control and drag it. From top, change from outlet to action, and I'm going to call this add bar button item pressed. Hit Enter, and this will create a function which will be called every time our user hits the bar button item there. So these are all our connections. While we are here, I want to also show you some very common mistake that the students are doing. So let's say I have my view here selected, and if I go to my connections inspector here, I can see that I have what connections I have. I have a table view which is connected, and it has a variable named table view. Then I have my view. This was connected by default. And here we have the relationship. This is relations to my list. Then we have here actions. It shows that my action, my button, is added to my my view controller here, and it says add bar button item pressed, which is this is the action that called. Let's say I made a typo here, and I want to keep the item small letter. And if I run my application now, this is going to crash because the name here doesn't match with the connection that I have with my button. So let's open the application here, and if I click on it, this is crashing my application, and let's see what's the crash reason. See, it throws out and it says Sigabird. Let me open this fully. Okay, and down here in terminal, it gives you the reason of the crash. So it says most of this is junk, is not useful for us. What we are looking is this top part which says terminating app due to the uncooked exception, and this says the reason and gives us the view controller name here, and it says add bar button item pressed unrecognized selector sent to the instance. So this is the hint that it gives us, that it cannot find add bar button item pressed. How we can fix this? There are two options. First, select your button, and under connections inspector here, you see there is a connection. You can click on it and it will remove the connection. And go to your view controller here. Also, you can remove this line from here as well. Let's go to our assistant inspector, open, and now by selecting our view, make sure it's automatic. As you can see, it was jumped to manual by default. So as long as it's automatic, it will open the required view that you need. So let's select it, and again control drag it, and we are going to open another action and call this bar add bar button item pressed. I like to call my functions like these long names, so it describes what each function, what each button does. Right, so this is it for this lecture. Next lecture we are going to create our view that will be opened every time we click on our add bar button item.